different when you didn't know the way. I said maybe that's the reason we should keep going anyway. The city disappeared behind us, the sky was turning blue. You put your hand outside the window like you were trying to touch the moon. We talked about our childhood, we talked about our fears, we talked about the places we'd never seen in all these years. And I don't know what we're chasing, but I don't wanna stop. There's something in the silence that makes me feel alive. We kept driving anyway, even when we lost the way. We kept driving through the night like everything would be alright. Maybe we were never meant to know exactly where it ends. We kept driving anyway, and I'd do it all again. We passed a town at sunrise with a name I couldn't read. You said, let's stop for coffee. I said, let's see where this leads. You took a picture of me laughing. I told you not to keep it. You said, someday you'll be glad that we have proof we lived it. The road became a story, every mile another page. And for once I wasn't worried about getting somewhere safe. Maybe all the wrong turns were the ones we needed most. Maybe you don't find yourself until you finally get lost. We kept driving anyway, even when we lost the way. We kept driving through the night like everything would be alright. Maybe we were never meant to know exactly where it ends. We kept driving anyway, and I'd do it all again. If tomorrow asks me where we went, I won't know what to say. I'll just remember your voice beside me saying, keep going anyway. We kept driving anyway, through the blue and through the gray. We didn't know where we were going, but we knew we couldn't stay. Maybe we were never meant to know exactly where it ends. We kept driving anyway, and I'd do it all again. Anyway, we kept driving anyway. We never had a destination, just followed every sign. You said the best part of a journey is forgetting about the time. We slept beneath an open window somewhere outside of town. The rain kept tapping on the roof until the morning came around. You had your shoes beside the doorway, my jacket on the chair. We didn't know whose place it was, but somehow we felt at home there. Maybe we're not supposed to settle. Maybe we're not supposed to know. Maybe every road is asking if we're brave enough to go. Maybe we were meant to wander. Maybe we were meant to leave. Maybe there's a little piece of heaven else was there. You took your shoes off in the water, I watched you disappear. You came back laughing with the ocean in your hair. I thought about forever, but I didn't say it there. Because some moments lose the magic when you give them too much weight. So I just held your hand and let the night decide our fate. Maybe the best things happen when we don't know what comes next. Maybe getting lost together is the closest thing to being found. Maybe we were meant to wander. Maybe we were meant to leave. Maybe there's a little piece of heaven somewhere we haven't seen. Maybe we were meant to wander with nowhere left to be. If I have you beside me, that's enough direction for me. If we never find the place we once imagined we'd call home, I'll still remember every road that we were lucky enough to roam. Maybe we were meant to wander. Maybe we were meant to dream. Maybe all the places that we missed were never meant for me. Maybe we were meant to wander with nowhere left to be. If I have you beside me, that's enough direction for me. Keep wondering. Keep wondering as long as you're with me. I found an old notebook this morning with your handwriting inside, a list of places we would visit and all the reasons we should try. You wrote down California, I wrote down somewhere cold. We thought we'd have forever to see everything we dreamed about. We were always talking about leaving, but we never really left. Funny how the years can move so quickly without asking what comes next. And now I'm standing in my kitchen with the morning coming through, thinking about the girl I was when I first met you. I didn't know we'd come this far, I didn't know we'd change this much. I didn't know the years could move without us feeling every touch. I didn't know we'd come this far, I didn't know I'd miss those days when every road was open wide and we hadn't chosen ways. I still have the ticket from that summer folded inside an old book. Sometimes I open to that page just to remember how it looked. You were wearing that green sweater, I was laughing at your joke. We were sitting at the station talking about getting out. Maybe we were waiting for a better time to go. Maybe there was never a perfect time at all. I can hear it in the silence, in the closing of the hall. People leaving us still standing, and the hours can become something you love. And every little ending can still lead you somewhere new. I'd let her keep the wondering, I'd let her keep the view. I didn't know we'd come this far, but maybe that's okay. Maybe every version of me was needed for today. I didn't know we'd come this far, I didn't know I'd understand. Sometimes you only see the journey when you're finally where you stand. I didn't know, I didn't know we'd come this far. We left the city after midnight. You said we didn't need a plan. The highway disappearing behind us. Your hand was resting in my hand. The radio kept losing signal, but you kept singing anyway. I watched the headlights on the pavement and wondered where we'd wake. We had a little money and nowhere we had to be. You said maybe that's the point of leaving. I said maybe you're right about me. I don't know where we're going, I don't know what we'll find, but something about this moment feels like the right kind of lost tonight. Somewhere we haven't been yet, maybe that's where we'll belong. Somewhere beyond the headlights, somewhere we've been driving toward all along. I don't need to know the ending, I don't need to know what's next. Just keep the windows open and let the night decide the rest. Somewhere we haven't been yet. The morning came in slowly, turning everything to gold. You fell asleep beside me, with your jacket pulled up close. We stopped beside a little diner where nobody knew our names. You drew a heart inside the fogged up glass, then laughed and looked away. I remember thinking quietly that I could stay like this, with the road beneath our tires and your shoulder next to mine. Maybe we don't need forever, maybe tonight is enough. Maybe all the best memories begin when we don't know what's coming up. Somewhere we haven't been yet, maybe that's where we'll belong. Somewhere beyond the headlights, somewhere we've been driving toward all along. I don't need to know the ending, I don't need to know what's next. Just keep the windows open and let the night decide the rest. Somewhere we haven't been yet. If we get lost, we'll call it freedom. If we turn around, we'll call it home. If tomorrow changes everything, at least tonight we weren't alone. Somewhere we haven't been yet, maybe that's where we'll go. Somewhere beyond the horizon, where neither of us has been before. I don't need to know the ending, I don't need to know what's next. Just keep the windows open and let the night decide the rest. Somewhere we haven't been yet. square. We used to talk about the future like it was waiting down the street. You said you lived beside the ocean. I'd say I'd follow if you let me. We were always making promises. We didn't know we'd break. We thought the world would wait forever for every choice we'd make. I remember summer evenings sitting underneath your window, trying to imagine who we'd become without knowing where we'd go. Maybe we were too young to notice how quickly everything could change. Maybe we were too busy dreaming to see the road rearrange. Where did we think we'd end up? Who did we think we'd be? Did we imagine all these years would turn out differently? Where did we think we'd end up? I wish I could ask you now. Would you still choose the same road if you could see us somehow? I moved 3 times since I knew you. You probably did the same. I've learned a lot about leaving, but I still remember your name. Sometimes I see an old photograph and everything comes back. The summer heat, your crooked smile, the color of your backpack. We were certain we'd be different. We were certain we'd escape. But maybe growing older is learning what you can't change. And sometimes I wonder if you ever think about the lives we thought we'd be living before we figured ourselves out. Where did we think we'd end up? Who did we think we'd be? Did we imagine all these years would turn out differently? Where did we think we'd end up? I wish I could ask you now. Would you still choose the same road if you could see us somehow? Maybe we didn't get it wrong. Maybe there was never a plan. Maybe every version of ourselves was exactly who we had to become. Where did we think we'd end up? Maybe nowhere we could see. Maybe the point was all the roads that made us who we'd be. Where did we think we'd end up? I don't need to know somehow. I just hope you're somewhere happy, wherever you are now. Wherever you are now. Wherever you are now.
We didn't have much money, but somehow we had enough. Half a tank of gas and 2 bus tickets tucked up. You laughed at all my bad jokes, I knew your favorite songs. We didn't know we were happy, we just thought we'd stay that long. Nobody told us then, those were the days. Nobody said they'd slip right through our hands. We were too busy living to see it fade, turn into a memory while we still stood there. Maybe we were better then, maybe we didn't know. Maybe that's why I still go back where we used to go. Maybe we were better then, or maybe I just miss when every rode home just because we could. Stop by that old gas station, watch planes cut through the dusk. You bought those cheap sunglasses, said you looked like you knew where you were headed from here. I laughed and swung them at you. No photo in my phone, still I can see the way that crooked smile kept coming back to me. We never knew how beautiful a second could be. We were still inside it before it turned to weeks. Maybe we were better then, maybe we didn't know. Maybe that's why I still go back where we used to go. Maybe we were better then, or maybe I just miss when everything felt possible and you were still mine. I don't wanna rewrite it, I don't want your goodbye. I just want one more evening with the windows open wide, the radio low in the corner, your head on my arm. One more ordinary moment before it all went dark. Maybe we were better then, maybe we didn't know. Maybe that's why those old streets still pull me like they know. Maybe we were better then, or maybe I just miss when everything felt possible and you were still mine. We didn't know we were happy, we didn't know we'd miss it. Maybe we were better then, maybe we were just living.
There's a road outside the city that we used to drive at night. You'd put your feet up on the dashboard, I'd keep both hands on the wheel. The streetlights disappear behind us and the stars would come alive. You said you loved the feeling of not knowing where we'd arrive. We'd stop beside the river and listen to the water move. You tell me all your secrets and I tell you mine too. Every turn became a memory, every mile became a song. I never knew a road could hold so much of where we've been. Maybe that's why certain songs still feel like something's coming. The road still knows our names, even if we don't go there anymore. I don't need to find you there. I know what those nights were for. The road still knows our names, and I carry them inside. Some roads never really end, they just become a part of your life. The road knows. The road knows. The road knows our names. Somewhere after midnight, we were talking in the car. You said you didn't know yourself. I said I didn't either. The city looked like little stars reflected in the rain. We kept driving without speaking until you said my name. You told me about your childhood, I told you about mine. We were strangers a few months ago. Now I couldn't imagine leaving you behind. Maybe some people enter your life without asking for a reason. Maybe some nights become memories before you know you're living them. Somewhere after midnight, something changed inside me. I didn't know where we were going, but I knew where I wanted to be. Somewhere after midnight, underneath those city lights, I stopped thinking about tomorrow and just wanted you beside me tonight. We stopped beside a closed motel just to watch the rain come down. You danced barefoot in the parking lot like nobody was around. I laughed until I couldn't breathe. You looked at me and smiled, and for a moment everything felt easy for a while. The night was almost over when you leaned against my shoulder. Neither one of us said anything, we just stayed a little longer. Maybe that's what I remember, not the words or where we went, just the feeling that for once I didn't need to know what came next. Somewhere after midnight, something changed inside me. I didn't know where we were going, but I knew where I wanted to be. Somewhere after midnight, underneath those city lights, I stopped thinking about tomorrow and just wanted you beside me tonight. If I never see that highway, if I never pass that town, I'll still remember how you looked when the rain was coming down. Somewhere after midnight, I found something I didn't know. Maybe it was you, maybe it was learning to let go. Somewhere after midnight, underneath those fading lights, I stopped looking for tomorrow and stayed with you that night. After midnight, year. We were going somewhere, we just never made it there. Maybe we were scared of leaving, maybe we were scared to care. We were going somewhere, and I still believe we were. Even if the road got shorter, even if we lost the nerve. I found those old backpacks behind the closet door. They still had dust inside them and a ticket from before. Your name was on the luggage tag, mine was written underneath. I held it for a second and had trouble trying to breathe. Maybe someday I'll take that trip, maybe I'll take it alone. Maybe I'll see the places that we once called our own. But I know when I get there, I'll probably look around and wonder what would happen if you'd still been there somehow. Some dreams belong to people, some belong to who we were. Some roads are worth remembering even when you never go. We were going somewhere, we just never made it there. Maybe we were scared of leaving, maybe we were scared to care. We were going somewhere, and I still believe we were. Even if the road got shorter, even if we lost the nerve. Maybe the destination was never really the point. Maybe we were learning how to want something together. We were going somewhere, and maybe that's enough. We were young and we were dreaming, and for once that felt like love. We were going somewhere, even if we stayed behind, somewhere in another version of another life. We were going somewhere. I still think we're. The sun was going down behind us. We were laughing in the car. You said, remember this forever, like forever wasn't far. We had nowhere we needed to be, no reason to go home. The windows were completely open, and the summer air was warm. You were wearing my old sweatshirt, your hair was in your eyes. I remember thinking quietly, this is what it means to feel alive. We didn't take enough pictures, we didn't write it down, but somehow I can still remember every color of that night. I hope we never forget this. I hope it stays somewhere inside. The way we felt completely weightless, with the whole world passing by. I hope we never forget this. Even if everything changes, even if we become strangers, sometimes all you really need is someone sitting next to you. I hope we never forget this. I hope it stays somewhere inside. The way we felt completely weightless, with the whole world passing by. I hope we never forget this, even if everything changes, even if we become strangers. I hope this moment stays the same. And if one day you hear this song somewhere far away, I hope it takes you back to that summer evening. I hope you see the sunset. I hope you hear me laugh. I hope for just a second you remember what we had. I hope we never forget this. I hope it never disappears. The little things, the quiet moments, the best night of the If I ever see you again, somewhere beyond this town, I won't ask where we went wrong. I'll just ask how you've been. And if you ask about that summer, I'll tell you I still remember the blue light on the highway and the way you looked at me. When the road turns blue, I still think of you. Not because I want it back, just because it made me who I am. When the road turns blue, I let the memories stay. Some things don't need an ending, they just slowly fade away. When the road turns blue, I remember you. When the road turns blue, I remember who I was. We left the house with the windows open, summer air rushing through. You had your feet up on the dashboard, I had nowhere else to be but with you. We didn't pack for very long, just a jacket and a pair of shoes. You said pick a road and keep on driving, I said anywhere sounds good with you. The city disappeared behind us, the radio was way too loud. We were singing every wrong word like we were the only ones around. We didn't have a destination, we didn't need one anyway. The whole world looked a little brighter when you smiled at me that way. Where were we headed? I don't think we ever knew. We were chasing something better with the windows open, me and you. Where were we headed? Maybe nowhere, maybe everywhere. We were young and moving forward like the world was ours to share. And if we got lost, we got lost. If we ran out of road, we'd find another way. Where were we headed? Who cares? We were on our way. We stopped at a little gas station, bought some drinks and stayed too long. You put a coin inside the jukebox and suddenly everybody sang along. You pulled me out into the parking lot underneath the afternoon sun. We danced like nobody was watching and laughed until we couldn't run. We took pictures we never posted, we made promises we couldn't keep. You said let's never become boring, I said then don't ever leave. Maybe we were chasing nothing, maybe nothing was exactly right, 'cause every road felt like a beginning, every day felt like a Friday night. Where were we headed? I don't think we ever knew. We were chasing something better with the windows open, me and you. Where were we headed? Maybe nowhere, maybe everywhere. We were young and moving forward like the world was ours to share. And if we got lost, we got lost. If we ran out of road, we'd find another way. Where were we headed? Who cares? We were on our way. Turn the music up, let the whole car shake. Take the next exit, just for the hell of it. We don't need a map, we don't need a plan. If tomorrow comes too quickly, we'll outrun it if we can. Maybe someday we'll look back and wonder where the time all went. But tonight, it's still ours and that's enough to make it perfect. Where were we headed? I don't think we ever knew. But every mile became a memory, every road led me to you. Where were we headed? Maybe nowhere, maybe everywhere. We were young and moving forward with the summer in our hair. And if we got lost, we got lost. If we ran out of road, we'd find another way. Where were we headed? Who cares? We were on our way. We were on our way. think you for the day, and that feels like the new Brad baby used to say. And this lives for always saying it will never break. Maybe it's so suffocating for I dream. There's something in my knees. We left the city in the morning, windows halfway down, streets asleep behind us as we rolled out of town. You had a map on your knees, but we never checked the lines. You said maybe we should pick a direction. I said maybe we'll be fine. The radio kept fading in and out again, between the songs we knew and the places we had been. You stared through the window at the houses passing by, like you were trying to remember every place we left behind. We used to know exactly what we wanted from our life. Now we're at the crossroads, watching all the signs go by. Where do we go now? Where do we go now? We've been running so long, I don't know what we want. Where do we go now? Maybe we don't have to know. Maybe all we need is somewhere we haven't been before. Where do we go now? We stopped beside a diner with a sign that said open late. You ordered something you didn't like just because you liked the name. We talked about the places we had promised we would see, mountains in the distance and somewhere by the sea. You said, do you think we're making the biggest mistake of our lives? I didn't have an answer, so I reached across the car. You put your hand inside my hand and suddenly it felt okay. Not because we knew the answer, but because we were still this way. Maybe growing up is learning. There isn't always a sign. Sometimes you choose a road and hope you chose the right one this time. Where do we go now? Where do we go now? We've been running so long, I don't know what we want. Where do we go now? Maybe we don't have to know. Maybe every wrong direction is another place to grow. Where do we go now? Let's take the road we haven't taken. Let's turn when we feel like turning. Let's stop when we see something beautiful. Let's leave before we're certain. And if we change our minds tomorrow, we can change them once more. Maybe life was never waiting for us to figure it out. Where do we go now? Where do we go now? I don't know what tomorrow holds, but I don't wanna let go. Where do we go now? I don't need to know, as long as there's another road and somewhere else to go. Where do we go now? The sun comes through the window, the rain has finally stopped. The map is still on the table, but neither one of us looks. You turn and smile at me. I start the engine slow. You roll the window down and we both say, we woke up somewhere we don't know, with sunlight through the blinds. Your suitcase was still by the doorway, and your shoes were were just between the life we thought we'd have and the one we've never seen. Which way do we go? North or south, I don't know. Maybe somewhere we've never been, maybe somewhere we already know. Which way do we go? I don't need an answer tonight. As long as you're beside me, every road feels right. Which way do we go? Let's just follow the lights. We drove until the buildings faded and the fields replaced the town. You put your hand outside the window and let the warm air pull it down. We stopped beside a roadside market, bought peaches we couldn't finish. You said we should stay here forever. I said you say that everywhere we visit. We laughed about our old apartment and the life we left behind. Maybe we were running from something. Maybe we were trying to find a place where nobody knew us, a place where we could start again, a place where every morning didn't feel like yesterday. Maybe we're not searching for a place we can call home. Maybe home is just a feeling that follows when we go. Which way do we go? North or south, I don't know. Maybe somewhere we've never been, maybe somewhere we already know. Which way do we go? I don't need an answer tonight. As long as you're beside me, every road feels right. Which way do we go? Let's just follow the lights. If we turn left, we'll find something. If we turn right, we'll find something too. Maybe there was never one right road. Maybe I just needed you. So turn the music louder. Let the windows catch the wind. We don't have to know the ending to know we want to begin. Which way do we go? I'd really love to know. There's a whole world waiting somewhere and we've got time to let it show. Which way do we go? Anywhere is fine tonight. As long as you're beside me, every wrong turn feels right. Which way do we go? Let's just follow the lights. No map, no plans, just you and me, and another road ahead. I packed my things into the backseat. You were waiting by the door. We didn't say where we were going, we just knew we couldn't stay anymore. The city had been getting smaller, or maybe we had grown too much. Every street was full of memories, every room had felt your touch. You asked me where I wanted to go. I said anywhere but here. You smiled like you already knew. That was all I needed to hear. Maybe somewhere tomorrow, maybe somewhere down the road. Maybe we'll find what we're looking for. Maybe we'll just let it go. Maybe somewhere tomorrow. station around 10:15. You bought 2 bottles of water and said, let's never go home again. I laughed because you didn't mean it. At least I hoped you didn't mean it. But something about that moment made me wish we could believe it. We found a motel near the highway with a broken neon sign. You said the room looked terrible. I said, at least the view is mine. We sat outside until midnight, watching trucks go passing by. You told me all the things you wanted. I told you all the reasons why. Maybe somewhere tomorrow, maybe somewhere down the road, maybe we'll find what we're looking for. Maybe we'll just let it go. Maybe somewhere tomorrow we'll wake up and finally know. But tonight we keep on driving wherever the headlights go. Somewhere tomorrow. And if tomorrow changes everything, if we take another turn, I'll remember how the night felt and everything we learned. We don't have to stay forever, we don't have to have a plan. Sometimes the best kind of future starts with let's just see where we land. Maybe somewhere, oh, maybe somewhere far from here. Maybe we'll become somebody we couldn't imagine this year. Maybe somewhere tomorrow we'll finally understand that we weren't really looking for a place to make a plan. We were looking for a moment, we were looking for a sign. And maybe all along the road was where we were meant to find it. Somewhere tomorrow. So where do we go now? I don't know. Maybe somewhere tomorrow, maybe somewhere tonight. Just keep driving.